Welcome to Pokemanners everyone. Today I'm going to try Legends of Arceus in 2025. I will attempt to 100% complete the game. The adventure all started in the middle of a void, meeting a strange god, telling him my name and my appearance, and then he drops me into a world. I woke up at a beach and I got approached by an old man, who told me he is a professor, and he asked me if I had a place to sleep.
What the hell?
All of a sudden, his Pokemon ran away, so he asked me if I could help them catch them. After that, we went back together to town, to look for that place to sleep. After meeting Akari and Silene, they told me I had to pass a trail in order to stay in town, or else I would die in the wild.
Bruh.
After we ate dinner together, I took some sleep, and the next morning I went to their headquarters, where the professor gave me a starter. I chose for Cyndaquil. After getting my starter, I went to the Obsidian Fieldlands, where I completed my trial by catching Bidoof, Starly, and a Shinx. After the trial, I received a new outfit, along with a new hat to top it all off. I then got smacked to the ground by the commander, and then my mission was complete. I also learned how to craft items, which was pretty straightforward. After that, I received my Pokédex and I went back to the Obsidian Fieldlands, where I did a ton of research. I went to the professor to report it and I got my first star. I immediately went back to the Obsidian Fieldlands to do some more research. I came across an Alpha Luxio level 40. Let's ignore that for now. Instead, I went leveling my Cyndaquil. I even managed to evolve it, and a bunch of other Pokemon. And that all gave me my second star, but there is still a long way ahead. So, I went back to the Fieldlands to do some more research. I got myself a Pichu, an Eevee, and a bunch of more. So I could get my star number 3. I went back to the Fieldlands, where I got myself a special flute to summon some weird reindeer. Amazing! Now I can go really fast. After running for a while, I even found a shiny Weasel, and I evolved it along with my Cyndaquil again. And after doing research for hours and hours, I went to the professor to report it. And because of all that research, I did not only get 4 stars, but 5 stars. That's amazing. Then I proceeded to take down Cleaver by throwing food in its face. And now that Cleaver is down, I also got my 6th star. When I got back to the village though, there were rumors about a strange Spinetta. I went out and took a look, and I found a shiny one. After getting back to the village, I was stopped by a creepy girl. She gave me an odd keystone, so I can see wisps at night. She also asked me to collect all of them. So let's see, how many does she need? 107?
Bruh.
That's insane. That's absolutely nuts. I was gonna look for all of them, but instead, I've done some research. And why the hell are bag slots so expensive? I went back to headquarters, and they ordered me to go to the Crimson Mirelands to study Ursaluna. I picked up all the wisps in town and set my course to the Crimson Mirelands. I kinda feel bad for her Pikachu. Once in the Crimson Mirelands, I immediately caught every Pokemon that crossed my path. After catching that many Pokemon, I went to the professor and got some money and a 7th star. And now I felt ready to meet Ursaluna. Ursaluna wanted to battle me to see if I was a worthy opponent or not, and Floatzel really made it super easy for me. And now that I proved myself, I could ride Ursaluna's back, and she sniffs treasure out for me. Amazing. With Ursaluna, I sniffed treasure out for a very long time looking for a peat block, and eventually I got myself a peat block. So now I can evolve my Alpha Ursaring that I caught earlier. All I gotta do now is wait for full moon. Finally, full moon. Actually getting full moon took me longer than the peat block itself. And after evolving my Ursaring into an Ursaluna, I felt confident enough to take down the frenzied Pokemon. It was really easy, I just threw food in its face. And now that the frenzied Pokemon is down, I went back to headquarters. I even got my 8th star. With my 8th star, I thought it was time to do some side quests. And why the hell does this NPC asks me to water a Sudowoodo in the rain? I really start to wonder if anybody in the village even noticed the giant hole in the sky. Next, I made an investment. I actually bought a recipe for a star piece, so I could craft some. Since money is hard to come by in this game, this will definitely help me out a lot. Back at headquarters, they told me I had to go to the Cobalt Coastlands. Ah, the beautiful coastlands. I wasted no time here and immediately lowered the population of the local Pokemon. I also encountered a space-time rift, where I collected many shards. I also caught some Pokemon, collected a metal coat, and I evolved my Scyther in a Scizor. And I also evolved a Magneton in a Magnezone. And after catching this many Pokemon, somebody told me to throw food at a fish, and that would allow me to ride it. Now I can go in the water. But then, all of a sudden, some evil Gengar stole a Growlithe, so it was now my mission to rescue it. I quickly gotta catch a bit more Pokemon, and now that I caught some more, it's time to finally rescue Growlithe. After a while, I found the Growlithe, along with the evil Gengar, so I defeated it. All of a sudden, one of the Growlithe started to evolve, which is really awesome, but then the giant hole in the sky struck it and made it frenzied, so I had to calm it down by throwing dog food in its face. Well, at least I'm halfway my 9th star. Using Splash to complete Magikarp's Dex entry is so fucking boring. Finally, all 100 splashes. While doing some research, I also found a shiny Speel, and I immediately evolved it. Eventually, I was ready to get my 9th star. And after all that, I went to an outbreak of a Petilil, where I found a shiny one, which is just great. I also immediately evolved it. Now that I've caught every Pokemon in the Cobalt Coastlands, I decided it was time to do some side quests again. Back at headquarters, it appeared some other frenzied Pokemon has shown up. So I have to go to the Coronet Highlands to stop it. Once inside the Coronet Highlands, I navigated through some tunnels through a mountain. And inside the tunnel I found an Alpha Crobat. Isn't that great? Once outside the tunnel, I learned how to ride Sneasel. I mean, I ain't claustrophobic or nothing, but this shit's crazy. Anyway, I just caught a bunch more Pokemon and I evolved some of them. I also took down the local frenzied Pokemon, which appeared to be an Electrode. And I took it down by, you guessed it, throwing food in its face. Oh man, getting my 10th star is gonna take a while. Back at headquarters, they told me about a new quest. They told me about basically a sea legend, and I had to figure out the rest myself. I looked at the quest and I saw no information at all. So I did what everybody would do. I went to Google. And Google told me I need a Buizel, a Mantike, and an Overquill. So let's see if I got these Pokemon. Hell yeah, I got myself a Mantike, and I got myself a Buizel, and an Overquill. All I gotta do now is go somewhere in the evening. I think I got the right spot because I can hear a call. Alright, so now I gotta go to the cave. And eventually I got there. I gotta say, this fight took a very long time. There were 4 of them, which already made them like having 4 turns all of the time, which basically sucked. And they didn't even want to stay in their balls. I didn't want to kill them, so it just took a while. But eventually, I caught every single one of them. Can anyone tell me what these drawings mean? I reported to the professor and I completed the quest, and after that quest I did many more side quests. I've done a quest where I had to watch Clefairy dance while it was full moon, just like in Soul Silver and Heart Gold. They even left me a moonstone, just like back in the days. On to the next frenzied Pokemon. He lives in the final zone, the Alabaster Icelands. So let's head straight there. I don't understand she wears shorts in this freezing cold. She must be a maniac. I wasted no time and caught everything that crossed my path. Eventually, I ended up at a temple, doing some puzzles to open doors. I caught an Alpha Galate, won a battle, and won another battle against a bird. Now that that is done, I can finally fly. It's going to make research so much easier. After all this, I flew to the arena to take down the next frenzied Pokemon. By, you guessed it, again throwing food in its face. I then went to the professor to report my research. There is still a long way ahead of me. I then decided it was time to do some outbreaks. After a while, I found a shiny Paras, which I then evolved into a shiny Parasect. Nice, now I got 4 shinies. After completing many dex entries, I got 164 complete and 206 caught. I was starting to see an end to the journey. But we're not done yet. I needed a special Pokemon, and that Pokemon was Spiritomb. For Spiritomb, I had to collect all of its wisps, so I started doing that. The first region was the Obsidian Fieldlands. Hey, look! A flying Gyarados! After collecting all the wisps in the Obsidian Fieldlands, I did the same in the Crimson Mirelands, the Cobalt Coastlands, the Coronet Highlands, even the Alabaster Icelands. And now that I've got all the wisps, I reported to the girl who gave me the quest. We headed to the Crimson Mirelands, where I was giving the last wisp. Finally, I can summon Spiritomb. I then found a Gligar outbreak, and I found another shiny for the team. I wasted no time and immediately evolved it into Glysaur. A really cool shiny if you ask me. Oh, and did I mention, this is not my first outbreak. I kinda got addicted to it. Every time I see one, I go for it. And it completes research too, so it's really a win-win situation. It's time to catch some unknowns. While doing that, I found a full art shiny Remoraid, which I immediately evolved into Octillery. Now I almost got a full team of shinies, that's insane! I completed a bunch of side quests too, and by now I caught all the unknowns. Now I can get the question mark. My god, the 10th star is going to take a while. I've done every frenzied Pokemon up to this point. The next day I was woken up by an explosion. It instantly gave me a quest. I got outside and the sky turned completely red and weird. Not soon after, they started blaming me for it, like I know what's going on. Now that I was homeless, I asked the Pearl Clan for help, but they betrayed me. The Diamond Clan did the same thing. After all I've done for them. So ungrateful. But then Volo showed up, and he helped me out. He told me he knew a hideout. Back at the hideout, his gypsy grandma named Cynthia, Kokira I guess. She lives in a tent, and she seems to have many herbs. I wonder what they're for. Old Kokira here told me I had to seek out 3 lake Pokemon, so I had no choice but to go for these lakes. Before I left, I had to choose which one's help I wanted, so I chose Edaman, because I believe this is how you get the Alga. And Irida is a maniac, remember? At first, I headed to the Obsidian Fieldlands to go to Lake Fierity to see Mesprit. All I was met with was an Alpha Gudra. After beating it, Mesprit appeared. And now that I've answered some weird questions, I got Mesprit's plume. Not soon after, she vanished once more. Alright, up next I went to Lake Acuity, where I met Yuxi. Upon my arrival, I opened the door with my phone and an Alpha Zoroark. I really want to catch that Pokemon. Whoops. Well, at least Yuxi appeared. Wait, I did not read this. Let's go back for a second. Alright, let's read this again. Combi, Zubat, Unknown, Magneton, and Dusclops. How many eyes they got? A Combi got 6 eyes, a Zubat none, Unknown 1, Magneton 3, and Dusclops is also 1. So that's a total of 11, right? Wait a minute, 11 doesn't work. So Combi got 6 eyes, Zubat 0, Unknown 1, and Magneton 3, and Dusclops also 1. That's it. Well, that wasn't too hard. Now that I got Yuxi's Claw, we can continue to the next Pokemon, which appeared to be Azelf. He gave me Azel's Fang as a reward for showing my dedication, and then the lake Pokemon gave me a red chain to stop this madness. The red chain would allow me to return back to the village. Where it appears, I have to go to the peak of Mount Coronet again. Again, weird markings. What do they mean? On the top of Mount Coronet, I was met with an ancient temple. Right in front of me was the commander, who expelled me from the village before. He challenged me into a battle, so I took my chance for a revenge, and I beat him in battle. He kneeled down and apologized. Now it was time to use the red chain, which I used to summon Dialga, and I caught it, but the red chain broke. Luckily, I've still got some Ultra Balls on spare. Not soon after, a mad Palkia appeared. We retreated, even though I'm pretty sure I could catch it though. In order to catch the mad Palkia, I was ordered to go to a place where I can find an origin ore. There it is. Now, it seems as if they want me to create a Pokeball with it. I handed it over to the professor and he crafted a Pokeball with it. Now, with the origin ball and Dialga by my side, I was ready to go to the top of Mount Coronet to catch the Palkia and finally solve this mess. Once there, I wasted no time and threw the ball. Palkia then blew up the temple and Dialga saved the day. At that point, Palkia became a horse. After calming it down by throwing food in its face again, I was ready to throw the origin balls once more and catch it. Not soon after, the sky turned back to normal and everyone was saved. The end. Just kidding, this is not 100%. My ARC phone tells me I still have to seek out more Pokemon even though I caught 222 Pokemon and I completed text entries of 220 of them. So I headed to headquarters to discuss what's next. There I picked up a quest called The Darksome Nightmare, which tells me there is rumors about a scary mysterious Pokemon living inside the Coronet Highlands. So I had to go and check it out. That's where I met Darkrai, which I've caught after many Ultra Balls, so now this quest is complete. I also got closer and closer to my 10th star. After all that, I met with Follow, who told me about Arceus and its plate. Throughout my playthrough, I received many plates, and it was time to collect the rest of them. The first plate I went out to collect was the Stone Plate, by defeating Alpha Vespa Queen. And back at the ancient retreat, I was giving many quests to gather the remaining plates. The first quest I was willing to do was the Plate of Lakes, which meant I had to catch Yuxi, Azelf and Mesprit. But in the village on the other hand, I was met with a commander who told me to meet him at a beach. There he wanted to have one last battle. After defeating him, he gave me a fist plate, which completed one of the quests. Okay, back to the lake Pokemon. At first, I went to the Obsidian Fieldlands, where I met Mesprit, which was really easy to catch. Then I went to the Crimson Mirelands to get Azelf, which was also really easy to catch. And last but not least, Yuxi, which was found in the Alabaster Icelands. But first, I went to a Curly outbreak. which didn't give me no shiny. Well, I can't always be lucky. Where were we? Oh yeah, catching Yuxie. Catching Yuxie was as easy as your average PG. And all these Pokemon gave me the Draco plate. Up next, I had to get the plate of the Fire Spit Island by going to a volcano in the Cobalt Coastlands and catching Heathran, which would give me an iron plate. And that brings me to the Coronet Highlands, where I caught Cresselia, which gave me a Dread plate. And last but not least, Regigigas, which gave me a blank plate. And after all that, I went back to the ancient retreat to tell Kokita I had the remaining plates. And she told me to get 3 wood. While getting the 3 wood, I saw a Goomy outbreak and went on my way there and I spotted an Alpha Mothim, which was even a shiny. Amazing! Well, no shiny Goomy, but something much better in return. After collecting 3 wood, I reported to Kokita, who gave me a Pixie plate. Now, I needed 1 more remaining plate. For the last plate, I needed to head for the peak of Mount Coronet to meet Volo. When I got there, Volo betrayed me. He had the last plate and wanted to steal my plates. So, my shiny team beat him. But of course, he summons a Giratina, which I have to beat twice, but Floatzel is an absolute unit and beats everyone. And after beating him, he handed me over the final plate. It changed my flute into an Azure flute. With the Azure flute, I can summon Arceus, but it only works if I have all the Pokemon. Let's see. I am missing the starters, some legendaries. I will come back for you, Arceus. When I got back to the village, they told me Giratina was spotted around the Cobalt Coastlands. So I wasted no time and headed there. Giratina appeared to be in the Turnback Cave. After paralyzing it with Parasect and lowering its HP with Floatzel, I easily caught it. Back at headquarters, I was met with Kokita again. She told me about Landorus, Tornadus, and Thundurus, and their locations. The first one I caught was Landorus, up next Tornadus, and then Thundurus. After catching all 3 of them, I completed some dex entries, and I got my 10th star. I even got 20 rare candies for completing 10 stars. Now that I got my 10th star, I thought it was time to do some last remaining side quests. And while doing that, I found a shiny Graveler, which I evolved by using a Lincoln cord. I then did all the remaining side quests. One of them was catching Shaman. I completed its text entry along with going to the lab, collecting the starters, and you guessed it, complete their dex entries as well. Now I can finally meet Arceus. Now I gotta say, Arceus was a challenging fight. I was being tossed around and I had to restart over and over again. But eventually I took it down. And by doing that, I now have a complete dex along with all my quests, all my side quests done. Now there is only one more thing to do. Get the shiny charm. I received my shiny charm along with the congratulations. Damn, I think this is it. Every quest, every Pokemon, every dex entry, a full shiny team. Damn. I had a lot of fun while doing this, I gotta say. If you made it this far in the video, thanks a lot. If you are not subscribed yet, you might want to consider doing that, so you don't miss out on any videos. And if you have any suggestions on what I should play next, leave it down in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching again, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!